Fuse pad. A service-rated fuse pad furnished and installed by CPS Energy within a transformer vault or room that will be used by CPS Energy to disconnect the customer's secondary service conductors from the distribution network. The fuse pad shall be property of CPS Energy. Garden-style apartment complex. Typically consists of apartment buildings built with landscaped grounds surrounding them. Other than a couple of buildings that may be used for leasing and/or renting purposes and for housing pool-related equipment, the apartment buildings are for residential use and often arranged around courtyards that are open at one end. Each apartment typically has its own building entrance, or just a few apartments share a small foyer or stairwell at each building entrance. Modern garden apartment buildings are usually not more than 3 stories high since they typically do not have elevator or lifts. Grid-tied disconnect. A service-rated disconnect furnished and installed by customer on their premises that will be used by CPS Energy to disconnect the customer's secondary service conductors from the downtown network system. The grid-tied disconnect shall be under the exclusive control of CPS Energy and remain locked and sealed by CPS Energy personnel at all times. Grid-tied fuse pad. A service-rated fuse pad furnished and installed by CPS Energy on customers' premises that will be used by CPS Energy to disconnect the customer's secondary service conductors from the downtown network system. The grid-tied fuse pad shall be property of CPS Energy and remain locked and sealed by CPS Energy personnel at all times. Ground. A ground is a connection, either intentional or accidental, between an electrical circuit and the earth or some conducting body serving in place of the earth. Ground fault. An unintentional electrically conducting connection between an ungrounded, phase, conductor of an electrical circuit and the normally non-current carrying conductors, metallic enclosures, metallic raceways, metallic equipment, or earth. Ground fault current path. An electrically conductive path from the point of a ground fault on a wiring system through normally non-current carrying conductors, equipment, or the earth to the electrical supply source. Ground fault protection. This function trips, opens, a circuit breaker or sounds an alarm in the event that there is an electrical fault between one or more of the ungrounded, phase, conductors and ground, earth. This ground fault protection function may be incorporated into a circuit breaker. Grounded. Connected to or in contact with earth or connected to some extended conductive body that serves instead of the earth. Grounded conductor. A system or circuit conductor that is intentionally grounded. Grounded effectively. Intentionally connected to earth through a ground connection or connections of sufficiently low impedance and having sufficient current carrying capacity to limit the buildup of voltages to levels below that which may result in undue hazard to persons or to connected equipment. Grounding conductor. A conductor used to connect equipment or the grounded circuit of a wiring system to grounding electrode or electrodes. Grounding electrode. A conducting object through which a direct connection to earth is established. Grounding electrode conductor. A conductor used to connect the system grounded conductor or the equipment to a grounding electrode or to a point on the grounding electrode system. Harmonics. Harmonics are voltage or current components which operate at integral multiples of the fundamental frequency of a power system, 50 or 60 Hz. Harmonic currents have the effect of distorting the shape of the voltage waveform from that of a pure sine wave. Harmonic distortion, total harmonic distortion. Total harmonic distortion is an expression of the total harmonic content of a voltage waveform. The harmonic distortion, or harmonic content, of a waveform is usually expressed as the square root of the sum of the squares of each of the harmonic amplitudes, with amplitudes as a percent of the fundamental voltage amplitude. High-rise building. A residential use building consisting of 6 or more floors. Instrument transformer. A transformer that reproduces in its secondary circuit in a definite and known proportion, the voltage or current of its primary circuit with the phase relation substantially preserved. Current transformer, CT. A CT is an instrument transformer used for measurement purposes and is designed to have its primary, highest current, winding connected in series with a circuit, the current of which is to be measured. Most CTs are window type, donut type, with the service conductor passing through the CT opening and serving as the primary winding. Voltage transformer, VT. A VT is an instrument transformer intended for measurement or control purposes, which is designed to have its primary winding connected in parallel with a circuit, the voltage of which is to be measured or controlled. Interconnection facilities. All facilities required by CPS Energy as a result of the distributed generation, DG, interconnection, to allow the safe and reliable interconnection and parallel operation of the DG system. Kilovolt amperes, kVA. A term used for rating electrical devices. A device's kVA rating is equal to its rated output in amperes multiplied by its rated operating voltage. Kilovolt amperes is the vector sum of the active power, kW, and the reactive power, kVAR, flowing in a circuit. Kilovolt amperes reactive, kVAR. The product of the voltage and the amperage required to excite inductive circuits. It is associated with the reactive power which flows between parallel generator windings and between generators and load windings that supply the magnetizing currents necessary in the operation of transformers, motors, and other electromagnetic loads. Reactive power does not load the generator set's engine but does limit the generator thermally. Kilowatt, kW. This is an abbreviation for kilowatt, an alternate term for rating electrical devices. Generator sets in the United States are usually rated in kW. Sometimes called active power, kW loads the generator set engine. Kilowatt hour, kWh. This is a unit of electric energy. It is equivalent to 1 kW of electric power supplied for 1 hour. Listed. Equipment, materials, or services included in a list published by a nationally recognized testing laboratory, NRTL, recognized and approved by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, and concerned with evaluation of products or services, that maintains periodic inspection of production of listed equipment or materials or periodic evaluation of services, and whose listing states that either the equipment, material, or service meets appropriate designated standards or has been tested and found suitable for a specified purpose. Meter, revenue. Kilowatt-hour or kilowatt-hour/kW, the device or any auxiliary equipment installed by CPS Energy to measure electric energy taken by the customer. Note: meters are classified as either single-phase or three-phase and are either self-contained or transformer-rated. Self-contained meters operate directly from the service voltage and load current. Transformer-rated meters require current transformers, CTs, or voltage transformers, VTs, or both, to reduce the service current or voltage when they are beyond the measuring capacity of self-contained meters. Meter disconnect switch. A meter disconnect switch shall be rated not more than 600 volts and have a short circuit current rating equal to or greater than the available short circuit current. Meter disconnect switch shall be capable of interrupting the load served. The disconnect housing shall be metal and be grounded and bonded in accordance with applicable codes. Meter disconnect switch, 480 volt. A meter disconnect switch that shall be installed ahead of self-contained 480 volt kilowatt-hour meter sockets. Meter disconnect switch, distributed generation, DG. A meter disconnect switch that shall be installed ahead of a CPS Energy kilowatt-hour meter in order to isolate from DG power source. Metering equipment. The metering equipment shall consist of self-contained and transformer-rated meter sockets, current transformers, CTs, voltage transformers, VTs, primary metering cabinets, transockets, meter pedestals, modular metering equipment, meter disconnects, all necessary enclosures, and associated support equipment as required by CPS Energy. Metering equipment rack, meter rack. A freestanding structure used to support metering and service equipment. Typically, a meter rack consists of a minimum of 2-inch rigid capped pipes set in 2 feet of concrete with a minimum of 2 kind of horizontal members. However, Size and number of rigid capped pipes and number of horizontal supports will depend on equipment to be supported and length of structure, refer to figure 1820. Meter loop. The meter loop is all wiring, connections, associated raceways, instrument transformer enclosure or meter socket required to connect metering equipment to a customer's residence or place of business. This equipment usually consists of service lateral or service entrance conductors within the meter or instrument transformer enclosure or meter socket for connection to the line and load side of metering equipment.